Hi, welcome to the Creativity and Mindset podcast. I'm so happy to introduce my guest, John Pondel. John, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Eric. So happy to be here today.
And for those who don't know you, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and what you're doing?
My name is John Pondel. I'm primarily a guitar player. I'm an educator and I compose music, mostly instrumental type music, but I've dabbled in pop music as well. Various times in my life, I've been more of a guitar player, and various times in my life, I've been more of an educator and more as a composer. I think most people who have been in the music business for a long time, they'll find that to be the case with them too. Or not.
So I wonder if you could share maybe one meaningful moment that stands out to you from that career of being a guitar player and an educator.
I think that's interesting that you said it like that, a guitar player and educator, because I actually started making money teaching as well as making money as a guitar player almost simultaneously. I played a lot of gigs, mainly with my brother. We had a duo, and then mainly playing weddings, bar mitzvahs. I think the first kind of pivotal and meaningful professional gig I had was becoming a member of Gerald Wilson's orchestra in Los Angeles way back in 1972. He was one of my heroes. I used to listen to his music a lot. He was a well-known DJ on the old jazz station in LA called KBCA, which we discovered back in 1964. My brother got an FM radio, and I was like, what does that do? And then, boom, turns the radio on, and I hear Wes Montgomery. Literally, the first guitar player I ever heard
Wow.
on jazz radio was Wes Montgomery. I was like, man, wow, what is this? That's how I got into jazz. I met Gerald in college. He was teaching a history of jazz class. It was always packed because his band was famous. He was famous as an arranger for Jimmy Lunceford during World War II and Count Basie. And then his big band, it was a Grammy Award winning band. I was lucky enough to meet him in class. He heard me playing with my college band and some of our small groups. Another thing that was lucky is one of my best friends and a mentor, Mitch Holder, was his guitar player. When Mitch couldn't do it, Mitch recommended me and helped me get into the union so I could play in his band. And he met me down at the union. This will show you his sense of humor. Gerald said, I want you to learn a chord melody, just a standard, anything you want, and work it up. And I want you to play for me. This is in order to join the union. You want to see that you can play. You're calling yourself a jazz guitar player, right? And he says, I know you can play, but you're going to play also for me and Buddy Collette, who was one of the first founding members of the Amalgamated Musicians Union, because the Musicians Union prior to 1953 was segregated. Buddy Collette was also one of the greatest woodwind players, saxophone players in jazz in the 50s and 60s, 70s. He lived a pretty long time, and he was instrumental in helping to unite and desegregate the unions in 53. He and I think Marl Young was another black leader in LA. So anyway, so Gerald said, we're going to meet you at the union in 2 weeks. I said, you're going to meet me at the union. This is one of my heroes. Buddy Collette. Buddy Collette is another one of my heroes. People you hear on the radio all the time.
Yep.
And their records. And so I'm working up this instrumental thing and I'm like going, oh man, okay, this sounds pretty good. And so I get there thinking, these guys are meeting me, little kid from North Hollywood. And these are like these giant guys in my mind. And in the jazz world, it was a reality. That's what they were. And I'm trying not to get too nervous of the gravity of it all, having to just sit there with the two of them like looking at me. So I get there and I go to the room they tell me to go in, and in comes Gerald and with Buddy Collette. They look at me and go, hey, John, blah, blah. Buddy Collette looks at me. I got my guitar. Buddy goes, can you play a C chord? I went, what? I played a C chord. He goes, you're in. I go, give me a big hug. He goes, I know you can play. Gerald told me you can play, and you're here because you're going to be in his band. So I know you can play, you
Oh,
know.
that's
And
so
I,
funny.
oh my God, just funny and warm
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's beautiful.
so loving. They hugged me. And I was like, oh man, jazz community. There's something about it. That's the first music community I knew.
Mm.
And not that I was ever like a heavyweight jazz guitar player or even made my living as a jazz guitar player. Like a lot of people, I'm a musical chameleon kind of person,
Yeah.
multi genres, and I love it all. But that still stands out for me as my kind of greatest experience. And unfortunately, that's when I was 20 years old.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. I love how you brought the tenderness and were supported in that way.
I was thinking of them and how they didn't care if you were a little white kid from North Hollywood or an old guy from Portland. They just wanted people who could play and wanted to hopefully carry the torch, which I wasn't a big torch bearer, unfortunately. But they're cool with that too. That was a pivotal moment for me. That's the music that I wanted to play. And I was living it back then. And that's the kind of people they wanted to be around. Didn't matter where you were from or what your background was.
Beautiful community. Wow, that's such a great experience, John. And I wonder if you can share more about maybe some highlights from your career that stand out to you.
Let's see. Well, after Gerald's band, which I did all the gigs between 1972 and 74, I had a small group jazz original bands that I played in around LA, several. None of them recorded, but a lot of great musicians, the young guys trying out new ideas and taking chances with musical form, which was a big thing going on in the 70s in rock too. I still think the heaviest decade, like for music.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. And then here's an interesting thing. I never grew up in a house, and whether this was a good strategy for my career or not, I thought, you know what? I want to try to get a house. I don't care if it's a big house, but I want a little place that could be my anchor.
Mm.
Somewhere that's mine, it's my home, it's me, can't be taken away. And I took a gig with a guy who was like a lounge lizard. He was a
Mm.
jazz musician. In fact, this guy was the Dick Clark of Australia.
Oh,
He was known as Chet DeMilo, and I wound up loving him. He was an excellent musician, and he sang and he did cocktail bars, but he was the most popular guy,
mm.
like in LA. He played some jazz tunes, he played some rock, and I thought, gosh, I can make some money from this guy working with him. And so I did that for a year and a half, and I bought a little house. I had no furniture, and I had musicians coming over every day to play, mostly jazz people. I wound up getting a drum set, and this would be in 75, 76. 76 is when I actually bought the house. Then I started doing some studio work,
Mm.
and I had other guitar players, friends who were a little older than I was. I even got Gerald Wilson's gig from his recommendation because he was one of the guitar players on the Tonight Show and lots of studio work. And I knew him for a long time, even when I was still in elementary school, like sixth, seventh grade. Anyway, I love
Perfect.
him. He's a
Yeah,
brother.
very.
So now I had my little anchor place, and I felt secure in that I had a place I couldn't be evicted. I could make noise all
Yeah,
night
that's
with musicians, play loud. That was a great time. I had a lot of pop gigs too. I'd go on the road with various pop singers. And then I landed, to make a long story a little shorter, I landed some work with Barry Manilow, first in the studios, a couple of TV projects, TV
Wow.
specials. And then we had a musicians union strike in 1980. And I wound up working with Barry off and on from 79 to 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love him. He's just a wonderful, deep down, just a really sweet soul in there,
Hmm.
and got a lot of empathy for people. It was a great experience. But in the off times, when we weren't touring or doing albums, it afforded several of us in his band to go out and experiment with some instrumental, original jazz and fusion work. And then it so happened that four of us in Barry's band started this band called Uncle Festive.
Right.
This was a little later. We had some other bands that had a record deal, a pop record deal, but Uncle Festive stuck. And we did 6 albums. That was probably the highlight of my recording career. We had a #1 national airplay in 1992. We had a bunch of top tens and top fives, hits in Japan, and we toured. We're still close friends today. The keyboard player from Uncle Festive is still playing with Barry. We have a band called Combo, produced by our friend Bud, who is the drummer in Uncle Festive. So the three of us are still working, and our buddy Mark Levine, who was the bass player, he's up in San Francisco and he's doing great. And but Ron and I and Bud have, it just worked out. We were able to do projects together, and that was a big highlight. And we're still doing Combo. This is 2025. It's our 10th album together as Uncle Festive or Combo. We have a hit right now. It's coming up the charts in December 2025. It's 39 on Billboard, smooth jazz. And then I have another long-term band. Has 8 albums out called the Jazz Hole, and that's what was a side project from Uncle Festive that turned into a record deal on Atlantic Records. So that's still going on. We just finished a double album. It's like our 8th or 9th record.
Wow.
And yeah, so yeah, these long-term relationships, if you can cultivate those kind of friendships and couple it with work, if your work couple, or the other way around, if you couple the workforce that you're dealing with every day into real relationships, really getting to know the families, friends, just deep, like I have with you.
My man, John.
Yeah. And we're working together in different capacities, like we're doing this. It's a long-term relationship. And I think that could be the key to spending a life in pursuit of what you loved in the first place. It can morph into other zones that are
Mhm.
related. And they might like feel sometimes that they're far afield from where you started. All those experiences are beneficial when you add them up to your progress. If opportunities take you somewhere else, they're professional and personal experiences with people. Your expertise is the winner.
And speaking of expertise, your experience across different genres with different people, would love to get your insight on a more philosophical topic. But what is creativity to you, John?
I'll sum it up by what I did last night. I'm going to do another solo record in 2026. And the thing of it is, like what I'll say to myself is, I don't say, I think I'm going to do a solo record, or I want to do a solo record next year. The thing that kickstarts it for me is I'll say, I'm going to do a solo record in 2026. And I'll tell everybody who asks, I'll try to say it with conviction. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a solo record.
Yeah,
It's
conviction
that kind of,
being
yeah, you gotta. you can't go into it thinking, I think I'm gonna do a solo record. I want to. Just do it, and I'll do it even if it sucks. If it sucks, I won't put it out. I'll know if it sucks or not.
But at
You
least
know,
you did it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. That's
So
the
you
first
had
thing
that.
I need as part
Yeah.
of my creative process. I want to start kicking my butt a little bit.
Mhm. And I think that ties into my next question, which is mindset. What is mindset? And it seems like you've already answered it, that creativity and mindset are intertwined. It's that conviction of saying, I'm going to do something and
Yeah,
doing it and to the wind with the consequences. Yeah.
yeah. And as far as my process, I don't have one process. I really don't. It can be something that's I'll tell you what I did last night. I guess you could extrapolate from that what my general ethos is as far as how I proceed, the energy I bring, want to bring to it. Last night, I said, I am going to get one other section of this new song that I like. And I say, okay, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to get it. And I was tired, but I really felt like I wanted to do it tonight. And I wasn't feeling particularly creative either. My basement was cold, and I was like, oh shit, man, I've been doing music all day. It's 9:30. Well, maybe I'll just chill and read or something. And then I said, no, I said, I'm going to get this done today. And I put the the A, all I have is an A section. I said, well, I want to get some kind of B. I don't presuppose anything or put restrictions on it. It could be like a 2 bar turnaround or a little musical interlude. It doesn't have to be a full blown anything. I want to get something.
Yeah, it seems like it's similar to your conviction about the whole project, having
Yeah.
conviction in the process as well.
So I put the tune on and I said, look, let me try this today. I'm just going to do this because I'm tired. I went to my keyboard, put the 14 bars on, and then I just put 4 bars of the last 4 bars on and looped it and into a empty section. So it would go 4 bars, 4 bars into the empty section, then loop back to those 4 bars. So it's an 8 bar loop,
Yep.
four with the last four and
Mhm.
four empty. I think I've done this before. I just went to the keyboard. I don't write on guitar all the time. I
Right.
like writing on piano a lot.
Mhm.
And I just put my fingers down and I hit a chord. And then where I felt it needed something, I hit something. I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be, and it sucked. Then I did another one, and then I did another one. I knew that one of them was okay, and I knew two of them were just gibberish. I moved the notes around to where I liked them. And the energy to put into it, where the rhythms were, was more important than what the actual notes were. When I got the actual notes, because I had the rhythm right, felt it was strong. I write for me, and if people dig it or I feel like I want to put it out, I'll put it out. But I write for me first, and that's what I did last night.
There's
But
some really heavy topics in that, like powerful topics. Conviction, number one, writing for yourself, number two, not necessarily in this order, but one thing that I hear in what you're saying, it's like you got to be okay with the first steps not being perfect and being open to edit what you put down and just working with what comes naturally. Even just that image of you throwing your hands down, it doesn't really matter. But then with technology we have, you can always change it on the MIDI. You know, it's so powerful to think about that idea of just give it a go
give
and
it a go.
up
And
from there.
I years ago, and it was a non-musical situation. I was in a band for a TV show called Taxi. We played Bob's theme,
Mhm.
but not the original recording. We were the warm-up band for that show. Whenever there was any live music incorporated in the show, we played too.
Mm.
And I learned that editing, they used to edit at the show. This is after writing all week, rehearsing, dress rehearsal the night before on Thursdays, or a run through of dress rehearsal on Fridays, and they taped on Friday nights. James L. Brooks was one of the major writers and directors. He's one of the biggest directors of all time. He's got a brand new movie out right now. Academy Award winning director. He was like a TV guy back then. The Charles brothers were the writers too, and the producers of that show. They would edit at the very end. And sometimes they'd change one word or huddle with Danny DeVito. Danny would say something and they'd go, yeah. It was really freewheeling. And it was a live audience too. They'd shoot that scene again, and then the scene would be cut with the audience laughing 3 times harder than the previous run through. They'd change a little thing. And all of a sudden, it was hilarious. Editing like right to the end. Same with recording when you're making records. People,
Yeah.
this isn't, I don't know what's sacrosanct. Anything could be edited.
Yeah.
But
I think it comes down to the intention behind it.
yeah,
And there's also talks about the idea of being done. You don't want it to be sloppy, but you also don't want to over focus on perfectionism. And
totally.
I wonder for one last delving into your insight as a creative person, what's one piece of advice or an interesting fact that you feel like you could share today with this creative audience that we have for this podcast that could help them with creativity, with mindset, or inspire creativity or aspect of mindset?
I can only talk about myself. Everybody has to, over time, develop their own process or processes. Because I've
That's
been
true.
writing
Yeah.
music like a long time, and it's hard to know when that magic thing pops into your head. The thing of it is don't wait around.
Mm.
Don't wait around for, and I know you've probably heard this, a lot of people have heard it, but some people haven't heard it. A lot of people think inspiration is just going to hit you, and when it doesn't, you don't need to write. That's BS, because professional writers write every single day. Sometimes they don't get anything, but many times you'll write and do something by accident. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, shit. That could be the thing that triggers something great. So the thing, don't wait for inspiration to hit. Just get in and dig in there and listen, of course, if you're a musician, as much as you can to music. Nobody should have to mention that, because if you don't like listening to music, you're definitely in the wrong field. But yeah, just don't wait. Don't wait. And you'll find like your method or methodologies and processes that are good for you, because one person's method or process is not good. But I can almost universally say professional writers don't wait for
I love that.
inspiration. They get on with it.
Love that. That's inspiring in itself and beautiful insight.
Oh,
So,
thanks.
John, if somebody wanted to work with you as a guitarist or as an educator, how could they contact you and start to work with you? Or what? Yeah, let's
Thanks.
start. Sorry, let me say that again. So, John, if somebody wanted to work with you with guitar or in education, how would they contact you?
Just hit me up on my name, John Pondel at yahoo.com. JOHNPONDEL, all lowercase. That's it.
Awesome. And you mentioned you have one song on the top 40 Billboard Smooth Jazz charts. What's the name of the song?
That song is called Action D
Action D.
by Combo.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we have your solo record to look forward to in 2026.
Ah,
That's great.
right.
And
Jazz Hole, my band Jazz Hole has a current record out, came out in March, called Moonlight Mile, and that's like neo soul, acid jazz, neo soul jazz. We'll have another album out in 2026, and that's going to be a double album. And we've got a few awesome guests on it, and several, and that's going to be really good. They're soloing on it. There's jazz soloing. Randy Brecker is on it, and he sounds fantastic. Legendary trumpet player.
Yeah, awesome.
So looking forward to that. That'll be a double album,
Yeah.
and that's just about done.
Things to look forward to in 2026. Definitely we'll have you back on the podcast if you're open to it. Would love to talk to you again and continue the
Oh man, I'm
conversation.
honored. Thank you.
The honor is shared, and I'm really grateful for you, John, and look forward to talking to you next time.
Me too, pal. Talk to you soon, Eric.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.